today we're going to work on problem-solving strategies and models, like mostly story problems. How to just keep practicing. I know, and tomorrow we're going to practice more of that. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to put the answer up here. Yeah? Did you try it?
Yeah.
Hopefully it went okay. 17. What?
Oops, my bad.
And then this one was a long one, but this was the answer if you did it. 11. And then this one, I hope you didn't think too much about. It says a balloon is released from the height of 5 feet above the ground. Its altitude in feet after t minutes, so t is minutes, is given by this expression. What is the altitude of the balloon after 6 minutes? Oh, they're giving me what? They're giving me t, aren't they? So all I got to plug in is 6. And get 497 feet. Cool? Okay, let's have some fun. Here we go. So the driving distance between Boston and Cleveland is about 660 miles.
Massachusetts.
I know, but don't you know where Boston is?
Yeah.
I just didn't say it. You're right. Okay, I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to say, wait a minute, they're talking about distance. And then it says, if you drive this trip in a total of 12 and a half hours, what is your average speed? They're talking about distance, time, and speed. So what equation do you think you might need to use for this?
Dirt.
Dirt? I like that. Distance equals rate times time, right? Probably I'm going to use that. You don't have to. But if I see those things going on, I usually write that down. They want to know what your average speed is. So I am going to try and figure out what my rate is. I don't know what that is, right? This is my R, I'm not sure. I'm going to plug in what I do know. I know that distance is 660 and time is 12 and a half. Yes? So you just can do this. Plug in distance. I don't know my R. I know my time is 12 and a half. And divide by 12.5 equals 52.8. When I'm talking about rate, when you're talking about how fast you're driving, how do we express that here in this country? Miles per hour. Which is exactly what I did. I did the miles divided by the time. Miles per hour. Yeah? That one was good, wasn't it? Okay. The next one. The table shows the number of seats in each of the first 4 rows of an auditorium. The remaining 10 rows follow the same pattern. Find the number of seats in the last row of the auditorium. Now, you know what? If you want to, you can just do this.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
But of course, there's a better way, which I'll show you. So I got to add 10 rows. What's going on here from row to row to row? How many seats are being added? 2. So just 20, 22, 24. This is a long way of doing it, but it's fine. Okay, so that means I should have how many seats in the 14th row? 10 rows later, I should have how many seats? 38. Now, really, this is advanced algebra 2. Could probably come up with an equation, couldn't we? Now, the starting value has to be at a value of 0. So if I'm going up by 2 and I had like a row 0, what would be my starting value? 10. So I'm going to say, when I write an equation, 10 is my starting value. I'm going to say x is the row number. If I start at 10, and for every row I go up by what? 2, I'm going to have 10 plus 2 what? X. Yeah? So if I'm looking for 10 rows after row 4, I'm actually looking for where x is 14, aren't I? So 10 plus 2 times 14 gives me what? Can you guess? 38. Either way, for today, either way is okay. You should practice coming up with these, and if you have a different way of doing it, I'd love to see it. Brian.
I did 10 times 2 and added it to the total.
Okay. Unless they say write an algebraic expression, you don't have to. You can do it Brian's way.
Brian's way is smart.
Okay? All right, next page. 2 more we're going to practice here. Oh, these are good ones. You ready?
Sure.
You are hanging 3 pictures on a wall in your home that is 16 feet wide. So I have a wall that's 16 feet wide. The widths of the 3 pictures are 2 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet. You want the space, so this is important, this is important. You want the space between the pictures to be the same, and for the spaces to the left and right of the group of pictures to be 6 inches more. Wait a minute, look what they're doing here. We have a problem, Houston. First of all, just be aware. What are they doing here? Feet and inches, right? We've got to be careful with that later. Each to be 6 inches more than the space between the adjacent pictures. How would you position the pictures? I need to draw pictures. I need to okay, what are they talking about here? They are talking about a 16-foot wall. 16 feet. This is my wall. 16-foot wall. That's the total space I'm working with. Okay, I'm going to put a picture on there. The first picture is how wide? Does it say? 2 feet. Yes? The second picture is how wide? 3 feet. And the last one is how wide? 4 feet. Okay. I don't know this distance between, do I? But I do know that the end spots are 6 inches more. So, this is my unknown. X is the distance between the pictures. Distance between the pics. Now I'd really like to write, I know that this is 6 inches more, and I'd really like to write x plus 6 here and x plus 6 here, but that wouldn't be right, would it? Why would it not be right? So I'm talking about what unit here? Feet. And here they say inches. So if I'm going to work with feet, which is pretty much what I'm working with, I can't write x plus 6. I could write x plus what? 0.5. Oh, I have a nice little picture that'll help me figure this out because I know this distance from here to here to here to here to here to here to here adds up to what? 16. Can I write it a long equation adding those up? You may not want to, but you can. Okay? So let's write that out. Yeah, Claire.
Why do you put x plus, why is that x?
Because again, they said right here, the spaces to the left and the right of the group of pictures, to the left and the right of the group of pictures, to be each 6 inches more than the space between them. And since we're talking about feet here, I had to put 0.5 instead of 6, half a foot. Okay? All right, when I combine all those, I get 4x plus 10 equals 16. And look how pretty that is now. Isn't that pretty? Okay? Subtract 10. 4x equals 6. X equals 1.5. So that means I have 1.5 feet between the pics. And I have what on the end? 2 feet on the end. Whew, wasn't that fun? See how the picture really helps? Okay? All right, one more. Ready? I'm going to put a star by this one too. Why would I do that? Oh, okay, maybe. One version of a test I've looked at, it may be there. There's a couple I'm deciding on. All right, your long-distance telephone plan charges 8 cents Okay, this is important. Long distance telephone plan charges 8 cents per minute for the weekday daytime calls and 5 cents per minute for night and weekend calls. If you made a total of 220 minutes of long distance calls, which is what we're talking about here, during one billing cycle, and your bill was $13.16, not including taxes and fees, how many minutes of night and weekend calls did you make? There's that question. That question tells me what my unknown is. What's my unknown? Yeah, minutes of night and weekend calls. So I'm automatically going to say X is my night and weekend calls. Okay, once I write that down, I'm going to go back in and say, there's something else that I have too. Not only do I have night and weekend calls, but I have what? Weekday and daytime calls. And they told me I made a total of 220. So how can I represent weekday and daytime calls? It's kind of like what we did a couple days ago. If they're not night and weekend calls, they're weekday calls, right? What was the total that I had altogether of both? 220. So wouldn't I be able to say 220 minus whatever night and weekend calls I make has to be my daytime calls? Talking about, money, so I need to be able to represent both of these and then bring in the money part. Is there a question there? Okay. So now I'm going to bring in the money. I know I spent a total of $13.16. I know that weekday calls are how much? Weekday daytime are how much? 8 cents. Night and weekend are how much? 5 cents, right? I have to add those two types of calls together. So I'm going to say night and weekend calls are 5 cents times X plus 8 cents for daytime calls equals a total of $13.16. Okay, the homework, I don't have it in front of me. It's on that calendar.